So if you're on YouTube or Twitter pretty often and you're in gaming spaces, I'm sure you've heard of Diablo Immortal. Now, there's been some problems with it. A lot of people saying that it's been pay to win, and the reason they've been saying that is because of the microtransactions and the fact that someone came out and said you had to pay over $100,000 to level up to max, and that's just for one singular character, not for like your entire account. If you pay $100 or over $100,000, then you can level up your character to the highest level, and then you start a new character, they're at base level. So you spent $1,000,000 on one character in Diablo Immortal, and you just I don't even know why anybody would do that. But I'm going to read out the calculations things to you. It's not going to get super math. However, one could get to 40 out of 50 on the resonating bonuses by simply ranking the 2-5 gems to 5 out of 10 and maxing the 3-2 gems to 10 out of 10. This would be much cheaper than maxing the 2-5 gems, and thus reaching 40 out of 50 and unlocking 4 of the 5 resonating bonuses will be a bit more reasonable, lol. And almost every whale that bothers to max out 5 gems will do this. 50 to 50 out of 50 on your 5 resonating gem boards, you'll have to spend about another $50,000 to $60,000. In essence, one stat, the final resonating bonus would theoretically be $50,000, and put your final total on spending to fully max just a little over $100,000. So the main question is, what single line of stat boost does Blizzard think is worth $50,000? So obviously this is completely ridiculous. Diablo Immortal has been something that people have not been exactly enthusiastic about even since its first announcement, and people on Twitter obviously aren't happy now about the game. That's the only time I really even heard about it, was around this time and when it first got announced. And when it first got announced, I was like, oh, that's silly, but I don't think it'll be too big of a problem, and I was very wrong. I mean, we even have tweets of people explaining like how to like play the game without having to be bogged down by the microtransactions like this one right here. Now, this was a whole thread, but I'm not going to show you the whole thread because it's not too important to the actual overall story of the whole thing. We've got a guy, Ferdinand Deja, that makes a really good point about microtransactions in games, and I'm going to read it to you. He says, games like Diablo Immortal are exactly the reason why gamers automatically hate NFTs. They simply see NFTs as an extension of the horrible financialization trend that has dominated gaming over the last decade. Loot boxes, pay to win, etc. And to be honest, I don't blame them. I mean, and yeah, I can't blame them either. This game has probably been one of the worst games, like microtransaction wise, since it's probably the worst one overall. But I personally thought that we were done with like extensive microtransactions ever since the whole thing with EA and Battlefront, where there was like you had to grind almost like 40 or 50 hours just to get Darth Vader or something ridiculous like that, or pay like $20 for him. Obviously the model is they want you to pay the $20, get Darth Vader, instead of grinding and spending all of that time. But I don't know why they would even do this as like a company. Like, they have to know that this doesn't look good, right? This isn't something that's going to reflect positively on your company and on your reputation. Now, I was watching the Quartering's video about this just to get some more information, and he made a really good point, and this is a rare instance of me agreeing with the Quartering. But he was talking about how there's like people out there that will buy these. There are whales out there, like people around the world. He said like Saudi Arabian princes that'll spend a lot of money. I don't know, but obviously there are people out there that will spend a lot of their money on these games, and obviously we call them whales. And the guy who's been getting called out a lot for whaling is Asmongold, so we're going to take a little bit to talk about him. So This really came to a head in an article from Dexerto about him that says, Asmongold has taken a vocal stance against pay-to-win video games. He even specifically called out Blizzard for using this model in their new mobile game Diablo Immortal. Although he shared his distaste for Blizzard's handling of the ARPG title, he still streamed his first playthrough and even decided to spend money on in-game currency every time the game prompted it to. Now, he faces a backlash from his community. While streaming on his backup account Zach Rar on June 3rd, the 30-year-old streamer was caught deleting a ton of negative posts on his subreddit, r/Asmongold. All of the posts he can be seen deleting are the ones calling him out for spending nearly $350 on Immortal in his first broadcast of the game. Asmon apparently was trying to prove a point about spending money on free-to-play games, but the point was lost on those who were already aware of how predatory pay-to-win games can be. So there was a post that came out about him criticizing him, which was the main one that got taken down. Now, pretty much all the other ones they're talking about are the replies to them. Now, one of the mods of the Asmongold subreddit came out and said that they weren't going to take down the thread, but then Asmon vetoed the mod and was like, hey, I'm gonna take it down, and so he did, and people didn't like that too much. People came out and said that they were appreciating how transparent the mods were being, and that they would like for the mods to continue to be so transparent. And then there was another really good post I'm not going to read all of. It says, thanks, good call. This doesn't feel like the Asmon we know and love. People just want him to rethink. You can't have your cake and eat it. He doesn't need the money for views. He isn't a struggling streamer. He's in a position where he can put his moral compass ahead of the demands of his channel. And you know what? If he's right and these games do get banned, then if it sticks to his principles, he's going to come out looking a lot better than the guy who gradually inches towards acceptance and then claims, you know what? We won. I was right, boys. So, yeah, I don't understand what exactly Asmon is trying to prove here. I don't get it. And he's clearly trying to prove something here, and he just isn't communicating it very effectively, and because of that, a lot of people are coming down on him because they don't understand what he's trying to prove. And to me, at least, it seems like he almost doesn't even understand what he's trying to prove, and that he has an idea of it, but he hasn't really thought it all the way to completion. Now, when it comes to that banned post, it was archived in the Wayback Machine, and it brought up 3 good points in there that I'm going to read to you. There's a lot more. I'll link the archive post to you. The comments weren't saved, so I don't know what happened to those. But what path should Asmongold take? How will stakeholders be affected by this? Asmon, viewers, Blizzard, pay-to-win topic. Asmongold does not play Diablo Immortal in protest. Outcome: the topic comes and then goes. Result: bad for Asmon, uncertain for viewers, uncertain for Blizzard, uncertain for pay-to-win topic. Outcome: the topic is picked up by media. Big streamer refuses to play Blizzard's latest title. Result: uncertain for Asmon, uncertain for viewers, bad for Blizzard, bad for pay-to-win topic. I mean, how many... Okay, so when it comes to the last one, how many people are really going to be basing their opinion on this game on what Asmongold says? Like, there might be his fans, but his fan base is limited. So on a level, it would be bad for Blizzard, but how badly would it really affect them is basically what I'm trying to say. And honestly, when it comes to the second outcome, it's going to come and go regardless. In a week, we're probably not going to be talking about this unless it gets to like an insane like XQC level of like, oh, I spent $1 million on this game. Then I might say something else about it. It depends, but I highly doubt it. Asmongold plays Diablo Immortal but doesn't spend money. Outcome: Asmongold creates content out of the game until it runs its course with a negative outlook on pay to win. Blizzard is handed free publicity by the biggest relevant streamer. Result: good for Asmon, good for viewers, good for Blizzard, uncertain for a pay to win topic. Outcome: Asmon creates content out of the game until it runs its course with a negative outlook on pay to win. Blizzard is handed free publicity by the biggest relevant streamer. The topic is picked up by the media. Result: good for Asmon, good for viewers, good for Blizzard, bad for pay-to-win topic. I mean, honestly, this is probably the best one right here. That way he goes through the game naturally. He doesn't, play to win, pay to win, he plays to win, and he actually, naturally levels up, and he doesn't just shoot all the way through and then abandon the game. Because when games are made like that, it leads to a bad game. A game that people don't want to play because they have to spend over $100,000. Now, obviously, nobody that like you or I know is gonna pay that much money. But like a super rich person, you might be a super rich person, I don't know. But somebody who's like working at 9 to 5 or like a middle class person is not paying $100,000 on a mobile game. Not even most rich people. I was gonna say the average rich person, but the average rich person is not spending $100,000 on a game because that's ridiculous. Asmongold plays Diablo Immortal but does spend money, which is what he's doing now. Outcome: Asmon creates content out of the game until it runs its course with an outlook on pay to win. Blizzard is handed free publicity by the biggest relevant streamer spending thousands. Spending money on it only causes internal drama. Result: good for Asmon, uncertain for viewers, good for Blizzard, good for pay to win. Outcome: Asmon creates content out of the game until it runs its course with the outlook on pay to win. Blizzard is handed free publicity by the biggest streamer spending thousands. Spending money on it is picked up by the media. Result: good for Asmon, uncertain for viewers, uncertain for Blizzard, uncertain for pay to win. It depends on the opinion of the journalism when it comes to the outcome of the second one. Who knows? What if they're positive? They're like, hey, microtransactions are a good thing. Or they're like, no, they're a horrible thing. So, I mean, as of right now, it isn't looking good, like reputation-wise, for Diablo Immortal and Blizzard as a whole. But we'll have to see. I mean, maybe there are people that like this, the people who are whales and are willing to spend this much money out on games like this. Me personally, I'll never spend that much money on a game. It's just my thing. But hey, you might be different. You might be like, hey, I want to invest my money into this, and I'm not going to demonize you for that. I'm going to disagree with you, but hey, it is what it is, honestly. As for Asmongold, I don't think he's setting the best example when he decides, hey, I'm going to spend all of this money on this game for pretty much nothing. I don't understand what he's gaining out of this. Again, don't understand what he's proving, that microtransactions are bad, that they can be useful. I mean, they can be useful if you have money, but if you're like me and you're like a normal person and you don't have $100,000 to be spending on microtransactions, you can't. You just look at him, blasting through the game and him being able to afford, going to the max level. And you're like, oh, well, that's fun for you, but what about me? And while I'm a proponent of, not every game has to be accessible for everybody, especially when it comes to like games like Elden Ring or Dark Souls, having the easy mode. But that's not what this video is about. Basically, just if you don't like the game, don't play it. And that's pretty much the opinion I have here. If you don't like the game, don't play it. In fact, I would probably suggest you not to play it. In fact, I tried to play it and it just wouldn't load up on my phone. I don't know what was going on. It did. When I went on my computer and tried to emulate it through BlueStacks, it immediately asked for my PayPal account to link to the game. So it just sort of tells you where the game's priorities are at any rate. But anyway, that pretty much wraps up everything I have to say about the subject. Wraps up the Asmongold situation. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.
Authentic Diablo gameplay at your fingertips. For those of you who are here at BlizzCon, thank you. We are going to have... Sorry.
Hey, just was wondering, is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
No, it's...
We don't have any plans at the moment to do PC. Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?